Hey, Tony, guys, here, y'all got to forgive me. I was on mute there. Make sure this is set up the right way. You want to pop in and touch on this. This was brought to my attention and very interesting because this is led by a black woman, and I mentioned this when I first seen it. I was on live and I saw this, and I just doing my due diligence, just reading every article I could find, and just really one of the things that we fail to do is read. And a lot of times we'll jump on the side or we'll jump on a bandwagon and we have not read the facts. We have not Googled. I Google and I read 5, 10 different articles and hear what everybody is saying, compare it all. I didn't even have the Threads app, but I kept seeing snippets of what people were writing on Threads on Instagram. So when I would click it, I had to download the app. And so I downloaded the app and read some sisters who did a breakdown. Like a lawyer did a breakdown, another young lady did a breakdown, another young lady did a breakdown. And basically what they were breaking down was the bullet points from the lawsuit. Because a lot of people did not Google and did not read about the lawsuit. So essentially what is happening is the lender, the bank, is taken and they're suing for $108 million because Uncle Nearest, the company, has defaulted on their loan as early as January 2024, but it really started in 2023, and they had a CFO that was let go in 2024 who inflated the number of barrels of whiskey that they supposedly had. He said they had 77,000. And there was a day where barrels of whiskey was going for $2,500 to $3,000. Now those barrels are going for $700 to $800 a barrel. So if you do the math on it, if they being generous with you and you got 77,000 barrels times $3,000, that's $231 million. If you got 77,000 barrels times 2,500, that's $192 million. So that is how they was able to get that loan increased an additional 24 million, but they didn't have them 77,000. Now this was a trust deal. They later sent out an independent inspector and found out they didn't have that 77,000. And in doing their due diligence, they also found that the $15 million real estate line of credit that they gave Uncle Nearest, 2 million of it was used for a property in Martha's Vineyard, which they approved and they was cool with. But what they found out is that property on Martha's Vineyard was put into a different LLC's name. So now it's not actually collateral on the loan because it's owned by a different LLC, which is said to be Keith Weaver, the husband of Fawn Weaver. And they tried to negotiate, Uncle Nearest, and tried to do a payment plan and let us do this and let us do that. But Farm Credit is like, listen, we've been back and forth for a whole year now, and y'all still haven't caught up. You still ain't made the payments, but your CEO is doing a tour of podcasts, even went on the Yellow Couch podcast, which makes no sense to me, and doing a lot of interviews as the black woman CEO who runs a $1.1 billion company when y'all are not paying your bills and we are in default. And so naturally a lot of black people jump and say, oh, this is to steal this business and all of that. It's like, nobody wants, you got to know business. You have to know business. Right now, nobody wants to be in the liquor business. Liquor is down on their sales. People not drinking like that. They released a study that said even one drink a week is detrimental. They also are saying the leading cause of cancer now is alcohol. That's leading to cancer. And it used to be a glass of wine a night, 8 ounces of wine a night is good for your stomach. That used to be the study. Now the study is even one alcoholic beverage a week is detrimental to your health. When it comes to liquor, that's 2 ounces. That's one shot. It's detrimental to your health. It disrupts your sleep, which then affects your mental health. It also affects your liver, affects your brain. So alcohol is not good for you. So in the clear the shelves movement that people are doing to help Uncle Nearest pay their bills, it's also going to lead to the wrong message. It's going to bolster the industry, the company, but it's still not going to make enough money to pay back the 325 million total, because there's 163 individual investors who gave 225 million before the Farm Credit gave 102 million. The lawsuit is for 108 because 6 million of that is interest. So when you actually read and you see, they also discovered that some of the collateral, which wasn't even 77,000 barrels, some of the collateral was sold on a few different occasions for a discount, meaning Uncle Nearest took and sold 1.2 million, or it was 1 to 1.2 million for 700,000. So they sold over $1 million worth of future revenue, future sales for 700,000 to pay off a different creditor, and then sold 2.6 million for like 1.9 million to get 1.9 million to pay off a different creditor. And now anonymous investors are saying that there's a lot of unrest and they want all the books audited, and they want to figure out where they 225 million was spent. For what has been found, they got Martha's Vineyard property, they got a cognac house in France. I did a full read and breakdown for the Blessed Business Tribe. Up under the video it says join, then you'll see Blessed Tribe, and then you say Blessed Business Tribe. So I did a full breakdown, an hour for the Blessed Business Tribe, where I read the article and talked about it. Can't put everything, say everything out there, because just how people think that this is a witch hunt to get this black owned company. When you speak common sense and you actually read things, people witch hunt after you, saying that you a hater and you jealous, which makes absolutely no sense. I have gone to Uncle Nearest and I toured it with a group of guys because we were on a trip for a friend's birthday party to Nashville, and one of our excursions was a trip to Uncle Nearest, where we were driven out there on a bus or whatever, van or whatever it was, and we toured. And Fawn Weaver, I DM'd her, let her know I was coming for my friend's birthday. She autographed 2 bottles. So I don't have nothing against them. My wife got the Uncle Nearest whiskey hat. She wear it, t-shirt. Love what they doing and all of that. Really wish I could get over there and do me a little wine brand or something. But I don't do alcohol company. I could do one, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to sell an addiction. I don't want to promote and sell an addiction, because although we are adults and although we can drink and we can drink responsibly, and although even Christians and whoever drink, I just think about the amount of people who will see me promoting alcohol as a stamp of approval, and they will take a drink, or say because my mentor Tony Gaskin drinks, I could drink, and then it hits that addictive gene in their family and they get addicted. And some people are trying to say that, you know, what they're doing at Uncle Nearest is the work of God, and this is purpose-based, and this is opening doors. And I personally don't believe God has anything to do with an alcohol company. We're not selling Bibles. This isn't about, alcohol is not promoting personal development, personal growth, health and wellness. Alcohol is addicting and it is harmful. And we could drink it if we want to, but there will be a price to pay. So I don't believe God has anything to do with this. The Bible also says that the borrower is servant to the lender. So I don't believe that it is God's will that we borrow money and we don't pay it back. But if we aren't making the money, then we can't pay it back. So just like I would tell bill collectors in my life, you will get it when I get it. If I ain't got it, I can't give it to you. Well, Farm Credit said that there wasn't enough communication. And yes, they did increase what they gave them, but that was to try to get Uncle Nearest to the tipping point to where their brand will catch fire, and then there will be a windfall of cash, because they said we already in. We might as well go all in. But they increased it because they were then told that they had 77,000 bottles. And they saw the marketing prowess of the CEO, Fawn Weaver. So they were like, if they got 77,000 barrels, then they got more than enough inventory. So each barrel gonna make you 3x. So if they got 250 million worth of inventory, that's 750 million worth of income or more. It could be 10x, however you gonna sell it or break it down. So they looking at it like that. So they say, what's 24 more million when we done already gave 70 million? And boom, upped it, and then the real estate line of credit. But when they saw that the real estate was put in a different LLC, then when they wasn't getting their money, see, you got to inspect what you expect. When they didn't get their money, now they had to go start doing their internal audits. They had to send out their independent auditor to say, where's these barrels at? Because you got to think about it. They looking at everything. They giving you the benefit of the doubt. There's banks to where you go in there with a business plan and an LLC and they'll give you 50,000. This company got 400 plus acres right there on one plot of land. So that in itself is a big enough asset for you to loan money to. Then you see the CEO and her involvement. You see her marketing. You see the celebrities in the comments. You see all of this going on. You see the tourism. So as a bank who, this not really your main industry. The company is called Farm Credit. It's for farmers. That's who it was originated for, to help farmers do their thing. And then they got off into whiskey. And now the co-founder, Keith Weaver, is saying that the bank is saying they no longer want to be in the industry. And rightfully so, because they pumped all this money in the whiskey and they ain't got their money back. So they done been paid, sound like around 20 million back. And now they calling the whole loan because they like, it's been some lies in here. And Uncle Nearest is saying, hey, it was our CFO's fault. And the judge is saying, be that as it may, this is your company. Y'all hired this CFO. Y'all got to cross your T's and dot your I's. That's business. So unfortunately, you still on the line. We can't just waive the lawsuit or tell the bank tough luck because they hired a rogue CFO. And we also don't fully know if that part of the story is true or if the CFO is just taking the fall. The judge don't know that. So they still got to do their due diligence. Now, the CEO has said that she built this company, she managed this company, she run this company, and if that changes, she gonna let you know. But the reason why that is true, which is a bit, deceptive, is true because the ruling isn't until the 20th. So you have until the 20th for Uncle Nearest and the bank, Farm Credit, the lender, to submit some options for the receivership, who will run the company, to make sure no more collateral is sold and make sure that the money that's coming in from the sales that's happening with the year-over-year growth that Uncle Nearest is claiming, Farm Credit want to make sure that money that's coming in goes to them, that they get their fair share and that they are caught up and made whole. And that's the point of a receivership. It's not to take ownership of the company. It just means that you putting somebody in place that is a neutral third party so that the books can't be cooked. Because if the CEO has access to the financials, the books can be cooked. And if somebody who with a vested interest in Uncle Nearest sees that the company is going to go to bankruptcy, and within the next 5 years this company is no longer going to exist. Well, if they take and make 50 million, they could take and distribute that money as salary to the owners and make them fat cats, and then let the company go insolvent. And the investors, who you take a risk when you invest, they up the creek without a paddle. But now all the money that was made has lined the pockets of the team, and then the team ride off into the sunset. We tried, the company failed, the industry went down, but we walking away with multi-millions, and Farm Credit is left stuck having believed in and supported a black-owned brand, and now they ain't got their money. So business is business. This ain't about a witch hunt. This ain't about none of that. Business is business. So that's what they're gonna do. But hey, God bless you. My wife texted me here. So give me 1 second. So yeah, I'll say this, and I'm sharing this because we were just talking about the victim mentality, and I saw so many people just jump to that right there conclusion. Oh, I knew they was gonna do this. They trying to steal a business from a black business. They mad we in here, and we the biggest, and we the best, and we the boss. They trying to steal a business. It's like, listen, we in 2025. Like, yes, we're not beyond systemic racism. We're not beyond discrimination. We're not beyond unfair treatment. But you still got to look at the facts. You got to look at the numbers. You got to look at the facts. And then you realize that, hey, this was a setup for failure, in the sense of the bank took and leveraged themselves, the creditor leveraged themselves and put all that money out there, not knowing what they was doing. That's why they want to get out of the industry, because that's not their farm credit. That's why they named that. They for the farms. They not for the whiskey. And so they didn't know what they were doing. And they have learned a very expensive lesson. And they could sell everything Uncle Nearest got and still not be made whole. Like this company, then they could file bankruptcy, do whatever, and still not be made whole. So they gonna take a large hit, and they gonna get out of whiskey, and they probably never get in whiskey again, except for in business with Jack Daniels, who probably don't need them at this point. And so it was a lesson, but it's a lesson for us as well. Whether you a person of color, a person of entrepreneurship or business, we got to get these lessons, apply them. It's not about taking sides. It's not about beating up on nobody. Not about none of that. It's about looking at the facts, seeing what's going on, and extracting a lesson, and not being just an automatic conspiracy theorist without even doing your due diligence. So when you read and you see what's going on, you realize that a company, that a group of people came into an industry that they knew nothing about. They tried to research it, learn as much as they could, but didn't understand and couldn't have predicted that the economy was going to do what it is doing, and that the market was going to go the way that it's going. And they got the money, and they felt like, hey, we in business. We could pay us some fat salaries. We can buy up some land. We can produce these dinners, these parties, these trips. We could fly on a private jet or first class, or we could make moves. We could ball out. We could do our thing, and this thing gonna catch on. Somebody gonna say something about this, and we gonna be on every shelf in America, every bar in America, every hotel in America, every airline in America, and we gonna be balling out of control. And that's what they thought, and the industry and the timing and things said differently. You can't predict those things, so it was an honest mistake on everybody's part. Right? Nobody could have predicted that we would be in this economy, in this state, and that alcohol would be down, that people are drinking less. And they drinking less because they got more social media, and they getting dopamine hits all day from their phone. They also have now marijuana, which has always been around, but now they got marijuana pens. They also have vapes. They also have different types of drinks, that they drinking. So it's like people may be drinking, but they may be drinking vodka instead of whiskey. They may be drinking rum, instead of whiskey or whatever it is. They might be drinking. A lot of people now has gone to the lighter, the 4% alcohol, 5% alcohol, the seltzer waters, the alcoholic seltzers. So them companies flying off the shelf and all of that, and that brown liquor. It's like people like, listen, bruh, I can't afford no brown liquor in a recession right now, and that brown liquor is messing up my stomach. And then if I'm gonna go get some brown liquor right now, I'm finna get some Maker's Mark, some Jack Daniel, some Hennessy on that brown liquor. And they like, Uncle Nearest, I don't know you good enough. You still too new, your name ain't big enough. And at my store that I'm going to, you not in there. And I don't trust putting my credit card online to order no liquor. Because now I got to go to the door and show my ID to get the liquor. And so upload my ID online. So it's a lot of things that's impacting themselves. And a lot of black people just don't spend money like that on alcohol. Like, yeah, alcohol, but if you think about the drunks in your family, most of them, that's Miller Lite, that Bud Light, that's Coke 45, MD 2020. It ain't no expensive. That's 75-cent beers. It ain't no expensive brown liquor. Like, a lot of people just don't do brown liquor like that until they go to the club, and now the club kind of is going out of stink because it costs so much for the VIP section, costs so much to do this, do that. They upcharging the bottles. So it's like just brown liquor as a whole, it's not being consumed like that because there's too many other options. When you got raspberry lemonade seltzer with a little alcohol with vodka in it, we got all these different flavor seltzers. That's a lot more fun and cheaper and easier than brown liquor. So it's a lot going on. It's going to take a miracle for this here to be recovered, for the bank to get their money, for Farmers Credit to get that whole 100 million. That's going to take a miracle, a Hail Mary. I believe sometimes people like these situations. Some investors like these situations. They like the fact that it's going to be a lot of people rally behind and go clear the shelves. And in the midst of this, the CEO is still telling people, clear the shelves, clear the shelves. And there's people in the comments. I've seen that before too. People will be in the comments supporting you, and they will not crank up their car and waste their gas money to get up there to the store to clear now shelf. And I also have an online academy. So my finger is on the pulse of the people. And so I get to see people try to buy a $10 course and their car is declined for insufficient funds. So I also know that a lot of people don't have $10. A lot of people don't have $20. A lot of people don't have $30, $40 to spend on liquor. It's just not that when you got to buy bread and water and milk and cereal. So we in a business to where, Fawn raised $325 million. That's on record that we know about. That's not counting all the other smaller loans from creditors that was $1 million, $2 million, $500,000. And from what she posted online, not everything is transparent, not the whole truth is being told. But when you read the facts, these people filed a 700-page lawsuit. And a lot of people thinking that this is just a witch hunt and that they lying and they making all this stuff up. You don't go to court as a multi-billion-dollar lender with lies. That's the end of your business. That's perjury. You don't file a 700-page lawsuit with lies. These people ain't finna waste their time and their money like that because everything gonna come out in the rents or the wash. So you're not finna do that. You're not finna spend millions of dollars. They finna spend $1 million in court. You're not finna do that if you ain't crossed your T's and dotted your I's. You're not doing it just for headlines because it ain't gonna make you no money. Now, one thing that will do, what it could do, is if they know that a lot of black people just gonna jump on the bandwagon and go clear the shelves, that's why they getting in position. That's why they filed a lawsuit. Because while we are clearing the shelves, the money is going to come in and they are going to have a receivership, somebody else handling the money now. And they doing that because they saying, hey, when when Uncle Nearest crew had access to the money, they weren't paying us on time. And they just showed in the records where Uncle Nearest person said they don't even have the $10 million. The $10 million payment that they supposed to be making right now is gonna be late. So they don't have that. They said they had 1.5 million in the account. They actually had to show the account. It was 261,000. So it's a lot of lies that's happening. And that's why they saying we got to get a receivership in place, so that as these people go clear these shelves thinking that this is a witch hunt and thinking that we trying to take over these people business, when that money come in, we need to be paid our money. Because otherwise, all this money will come in from people clearing the shelves, and they will continue to stiff us and not pay us our money like they've been doing for over a year now. That's just business. It ain't got nothing to do with race. Like and people saying, oh, they don't do that to the white people and white people get more grace. That's because the white people go into the bank and they sit down and they talk to them and they negotiate. They don't go and get online and race bait and rally the troops with this false narrative that they a victim. So that's how they get that grace. If you go in there and you sit down and you negotiate and you say, hey, here's my marketing plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm finna get the shelves cleared. And this is what we're going to do. We want to put somebody that is mutually agreed upon in place to where as the money coming in, it's being sent right to you. Boom, boom, boom. You could get 50% of all revenue so we can make you whole. When you go and you sit and you talk to the creditor is in business to make money. They want to get their money back. They don't want to take over and run your business. That's a whole nother liability. That's a whole nother staff. That's if they wanted to run a whiskey business, they got the money. They wouldn't lend it to a whiskey company. They would go start their own if that's what they wanted to do, and they will put their people in place. They'll get their staff out of the bank. Hey, we finna put 100 million into our own new whiskey company called Auntie Furthest, and we finna run this thing up. But instead, they put 100 million into Uncle Nearest because they say they in the business, they know what they doing. Let us support them, and let us be the creditor, the lender that's supporting a black-owned business, and let's get behind them. So they took that on good faith and tried to do that, and then they realized when you get in bed with certain people, sometimes you don't get paid what you owe. And guess what? It's a lot of us that have been in that situation where we got money and we ain't make our payments on time, and we late on payments. It's a lot of us that done gone through that. That's life. That's human nature. They just went through it at 100 million versus 10,000 or 100,000 or 50,000. So that's what you got to realize. This business. And I'm wishing the best for Uncle Nearest, that they could figure this out some kind of way, and that nobody else get burned in the process, that any investors that pop up, if that's the black millionaire, billionaires, but you got to realize nobody got that money sitting in the account. Everybody's money is in assets or it's on the market. So if the economy is down, that means everybody's assets is worth less. Everybody's stocks is worth less. And so everybody, you could be a billionaire. You could have been a billionaire before the recession, and now you are 700 million now or 600 million now, no longer a billionaire. So that's what you got to realize and understand. So get a lesson from this. Stop being the victim. Stop feeling attacked. Stop doing conspiracy theories. Go read the facts. Read 10 different articles. See what's out there. And then make a clear assessment. And whether it's a witch hunt or not, get a lesson from it as you moving forward into your business, so that you could be prepared for your witch hunt, for your conspiracy theory, for your whatever. You know how to navigate it. What much is given, much is required. Get the knowledge and be ready, so when you confront it, you can win. God bless you. Keep your head up. We'll talk soon. All the important links in the description.